Welcome back to officially Unfollowed, your favorite place to hear one opinion that you don't agree with and disregard the entire podcast. It is me, Emily Saves America. We have You Know Her, non-lip take, and we saved our most special guest as our first guest. I will let him introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Xaviaer DuRousseau. I'm a personality over at PragerU and frequently on Fox News, Piers Morgan, and In Your Head Rent Free.
Period.
And that's on that.
I sent some topics into the group chat last night. We were actually just discussing one. We were starting off with we forget that we have a president. Let's start there. Everyone, first of all, Trump has been acting like he's the president the past 4 years.
That's so
which is
true.
actually the funniest part.
He's still my president.
Yeah, still our president. And then you have Kamala, who's, now willing to come out of the bushes and pretend that she could do something. And then we forget that Biden is still our current president. And he was giving a speech. And where was he in?
He was in India.
And he was just looking around. He was like, so who's up next? After he got one sentence out, and everyone just stood there and was just staring at him because no one was up next.
Oh, good Lord.
He got very angry. It's when old people get angry, and it's a thing that you notice with your grandparents, is that a lot of people get very cranky. So Biden, it wasn't just that he didn't know who was next. He was like, who's next? He was really angrily asking who's next. And it's so awkward. And then after a few seconds, some person comes over the speaker saying, and now introducing the Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi. It's that's a tough one. That's a tough one to not know.
This is humiliating on a global scale, because how are you going to go to India and still not have yourself together? And here's the thing. When I was in high school, I worked for 3 years at a nursing home, and we had an area called the East Wing. The East Wing was full of people with dementia and Alzheimer's. You cannot convince me, after the years I spent at Pontiac Healthcare and Rehab LLC, that Joe Biden isn't on the fast track to East Wing. He probably has his food pureed. It's that serious. And the fact that we really are just expected to forget that he's our sitting president. Everybody's talking about Kamala, and she's even forgetting that she's in the White House. She's forgetting that she has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years, because Miss Girl keeps talking about, on day 1, I'm ready. How about day 1,340, which is your current day? You've had over 1,000 days to do something, and girl, you haven't even been to the border, but then you're bickering with Jill Biden because, you've never been to Europe. I don't care if you've never been to Europe.
Yeah, well, I love that. I haven't been to Europe either. I go, so you're not the vice president of Europe, so it's actually completely irrelevant. And then it's funny because I was like, they're now comparing all of her accents, which is so funny because I'm always like, if I was a Democrat, I'm shocked that none are smart. Well, I shouldn't be shocked that none are smart, but they're not smart enough to be like, hey, isn't this starting to border being a little bit offensive that she has her Southern accent, then she did her Hispanic accent, which was crazy. And I'm just this is so embarrassing, but we are being laughed at on a world stage. I think it's funny because you always hear leftists and they're like, oh, Trump is an embarrassment. Everyone laughed at us. And I'm like, there's no way it could be more of an embarrassment than what we have now. Obviously, I don't agree with those statements, but I'm like, he does not know where he is, what he's doing. They probably woke him up and they were like, they probably told him oh, this is a press briefing or something. And now he's he's basically one step away from Zoolander being the Prime Minister of Malaysia. So here we are.
See, the Latino accent proved to me that every single time I try to give Democrats the benefit of the doubt, it comes back right in my face within 48 hours. Because I started being you know what? Trying to be empathetic. I'm maybe Kamala Harris, when she goes into her more black sounding accent, maybe that's her comfortable dialect, and she code switches for politics, and the voice that we're used to hearing where she's speaking super properly is actually her code switch. Then Miss Girl starts coming through with the Latina accent. And that's when I was like, oh, here we go again. This is what I get for ever thinking that Democrats weren't being fraudulent. For 1 second, I tried to give Kamala the benefit of the doubt, and now she thinks she's Hispanic.
And
I just want to say, Xavier, Latinx for the community that's listening. Please, yes.
Oh, Latinx.
You know what's funny is like the first time I've seen someone do that, because I talk the same all the time, and I think that's what normal people do who are not psychopaths. But I was working in a restaurant during the pandemic, and like my manager was just such a fucking Karen, like Kamala, and she was black, and I remember she was so proper and like so intense about everything. Like when she was around, I was just like, oh, fucking kill me. And then I remember a group of like I was just like, she sucked. And then I just remember like a group of black women came in one time, and she was like, oh, what's up, girls? And was like doing this. And I immediately was like, you know damn well. First of all, imagine I talk like this and a group of black girls came into a restaurant. I was like, oh, what's up, ladies? Like, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, isn't this inherently fucking racist? Like, why are you speaking different? I'm sorry, that's fucking weird. I know they like to call us weird, you know. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Republicans.
I think, Emily, I think that's the losing argument. I think the point is that like the fact that she has a Hispanic accent, the fact that she has all these different accents depending on where she is, that's the issue, right? It's just so fake, it's so fraudulent. But I do want to say on the code switching, because people will argue that that's a thing. I'm not trying to like whatever. That's neither here nor there. She grew up basically with her Indian mother in an educated house in Canada. So like that's where I'm like, that's so fake, right?
Yeah, because shouldn't you be speaking fucking French then?
Yeah. That would probably be more closely aligned with how she grew up. So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, by the way, where's the Indian accent? I'd love for her to come out with that. That would be incredible.
If she whipped out an Indian accent, I cannot express enough. I would be on the floor crying, because now she tries to cover it up. Because did you see where she was like on some cooking channel or something? She was in somebody's living room and they came up to her and they were like, oh yes, and you went to India every single year and you yada yada yada. And she's like so embarrassed. And you can tell she's just like, I'm supposed to be black now. Like I'm supposed to be sister girl.
Wow. I didn't see that.
How do you guys feel about her when she was like, oh, I'm a proud gun owner after trying to do mandatory buybacks, which she did. Obviously, Democrats all hate guns. And then she was like, if someone came into my house, I would shoot him. And then she said, let my PR team take care of it. And I was like,
well, that just tells me that they're way down in the polls. Tells me that their internal polls are showing that she is really behind, and they're just pretending that they're not doing badly. Because why else would a Marxist like Kamala Harris say that she's in favor of that? And what gun? The way she says, I'm a gun owner, it just, I'm not one of those body language experts. I'm not like those guys that know how to assess when someone's lying, but it just feels like a lie. Like my gut, my instinct is telling me it has to be fake. Not because she hasn't said it before and the mandatory buybacks, but that's just not how gun owners talk. That's just not how I would say it if I were on that stage, right? I would say, I'm a gun owner. I have, like, you kind of like, you reference what you have, like you just say it in a more natural way. I don't buy it at all.
No, and then just to be like, I would shoot someone that comes into my house. I'd be like, that's weird, because when you shoot someone that comes into your house here, you're the first person to take away their gun and arrest them.
How about shooting the people who come into who break into our country?
Yeah, how about that, Paula?
Not saying that that's what I endorse, but it's like maybe there should be a little bit of protection. If the borders around your house are that secure, then the borders around our country should be too. But I just found it funny how a week after saying that on the debate stage, she put out a statement talking about banning assault rifles, which, mind you, to this day does not have a definition. There is no such thing as an assault rifle. That has no clear-cut definition, and they have not even tried to provide one. But she constantly keeps changing her stances to whatever is winning for Trump, because this is why she didn't have policies for so long. She wanted to see all the policies that Trump's going to throw at the wall. Let's see which ones stick, and those are the ones that she's going to try to go with. I'm even so thrown at them bringing in Tim Walz and trying to rebrand the Democratic Party as like this masculine grassroots party. Like, how dare you? How dare you liberals wear a camouflage hat? The nerve, the audacity. Y'all haven't even waved an American flag since 2009. And you want to sit here and put on camo?
Yeah. Camo. And then I saw the guy in Vegas when I had my MAGA hat on. He had his fucking Harris Waltz hat on. And I was like, nice camo hat. I thought that was kind of our thing, considering damn right if you guys saw camo the past 4 years, you were calling that person racist. And then like also she was trying to be like, so like, I love America. I'm like, you guys hate America. It's why I hate the left. Every person on the left hates America, and you cannot argue. You guys fucking like, love Palestine, go there. I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like, it's just so annoying to be like, oh yeah, we love camo, we love America, we're gun owners. I'm like, you're trying to rip off MAGA and it's not gonna fucking work. You're not even MAGA, you're not even Maha either. You're just
No, it's so transparent,
MAGA.
but they treat the American people like they're dumber than they are, right? The
True.
American people are way smarter than they're being treated. And I would like to think that people see through it. I think that's why after the debate, I was actually really surprised that so many polls came out in favor of Trump, because throughout the debate, it felt like Kamala was actually successfully getting under his skin and, like made the comment about the rallies that obviously really riled him up. And then it was irrelevant because people just saw her as a political hack who was just really, saying what she thought the people wanted to hear and wasn't genuine. And they saw Trump and they thought, this guy's just like, you get what you see and this is genuine. And so I'm hoping that more people actually see that.
And then look at his rallies right after. He's like selling out like fucking Madison Square Gardens. I'm like, oh, we're so bored. We're all leaving. He sold out, I don't know what state he was in, but it held 16,000 people and 60,000 showed up. Like, and she has to fucking pay to bus all these people. And then it's like, even that fucking Tana Moja chick on TikTok being like, I was offered a lot of money to endorse the candidate. You are not, okay, I'm not even offered money to endorse President Trump. Sit the fuck down. Okay. I'm like, these influencers are lying. By the way, I want to call out okay, this is good for the culture. All these influencers, you have Billie Eilish and whatever, her boyfriend or brother, probably the same thing for her, sitting there reading a script, being like, we cannot let Trump win. I endorse Kamala Project 2025. First of all, you've seen all these celebrities like doing this, right? Singers, whatever. They're all on TikTok. And then Hayley Williams of Paramore, one of my favorite bands in the world. I'm so sad. So you see one angle. She's like getting down in the pit and she's like, Donald Trump, Project 2025, blah, blah, blah. And then you see from another fucking angle, someone's holding up a piece of paper. She's reading off of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're all scripts.
Yeah. I know.
I believe it.
Xavier, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Just with all these celebrities, it makes me think of everything that's happening with Diddy right now, right? And how they're all so complicit in this. And there's just something so rotten in, you guys, both of you, you're both in LA. I'm the one that's safely on the East Coast, but it's all so fabricated. And that they're just, you guys would know this, they're closet conservatives. And I think they come out to you guys. It's harder to come out as a conservative than anything else these days. It's easier to be like a freak furry with, what do they call it? Like, I don't even want to say it because it's so gross, but they're basically endorsing pedophiles at this point. And
minor attracted persons.
Yeah, minor. Thank you. The minor attracted persons. It's so heinous that phrase even exists.
So insane.
But that's Hollywood right now, right? Like they protect the worst people, and then when that person is finally no longer useful to them, that's when they dispose of them.
I was going to post a photo, but I don't know if it would get fact checked or taken down, but it's like Obama's always around the most amazing people. And it's literally like Harvey Weinstein, Diddy, Oprah, Juicy Smollett, whatever the fuck his name is. It's like all the worst.
Juicy Smollett.
I don't know his fucking name, but it's like all the worst people of the past 4 years. And I'm like, yeah, I'm shocked that there's like old interviews with like Obama and shit. And I'm like, someone tweeted and someone was like, you know what's really weird about the whole Diddy thing? Yes, $5,000 worth of fucking lube is weird. And then someone was like, $65,000 worth of pizza is also fucking weird. And I was like, you're right. I agree. That is also weird. I told my girlfriend, I'm like, you can't get into acting here. Like, as someone who grew up with very famous actors and my friends are still actors and they're still, putting pronouns in their bio to try to make that shitty fucking Netflix show because they got to pay bills. I was like, literally everything they say is true. Like all my friends that are in Hollywood, I see them genuinely. It looks like you just took every bit of like happiness and light out of them and just took it away. They're like, they aged so bad. They were like the most sad, empty. There's like just a darkness around them. Like all that shit's real. That's why I'm like, I would never encourage someone to go be like a fucking actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you literally have to just like be willing to sell your soul to whatever it is that your handlers tell you. And like I was looking at that video of Billy and Ferb, her brother / whatever, because they have a very weird tension going on there. And it's like, Billy, baby, blink twice if you need help. You're clearly like, okay, because look at the difference. When you have celebrities who are coming out and they're endorsing Trump or just saying that they're not woke, there's fire there. There's passion there. You can tell that like their adrenaline is going because this is a moment of them breaking free. When you see people get on stage to endorse Kamala Harris, it's, ugh, I got to do this. Otherwise, my PR is going to fire me. And I was so shocked when I moved to LA and I started getting invited to like these influencer parties. And I'm thinking that everybody's going to hate me. And they're all coming up to me saying, I respect you because you're out there saying everything that I am not allowed to say. And I have a bunch of friends who work in PR. They are publicists for people. And they will tell me that they are conservative. The people they represent are conservative. However, in order to keep the profit coming, they have to pretend to be woke because a lot of people really underestimate the connection between Hollywood and the White House, particularly the Democratic Party. Like if you look over, the Pentagon has a massive, I want to say it's like hundreds of millions, but probably even more than that, probably even billions. They have a massive budget for Hollywood film. A lot of people do not know that. There is a massive budget coming from the Pentagon where they are putting in propaganda into our media, into our entertainment, and enforcing this rhetoric that we are all supposed to be a part of this globalist cult that has led to the fact that minor attractive persons is a actually recognized thing. It's like, you probably can't put this part on YouTube, but if you are a minor attractive person, revolver, back a throat. It's that simple. It is that simple. Like that is the worst kind of human being that you can potentially be. And this is what Hollywood and the left is pushing.
And how many documentaries and child stars do we need to see coming out that are insane? Like you have like the Nickelodeon one, you have Amanda Bynes. And then also it's creepy. You have that movie like End of the World, whatever the fuck it's called, made by the Obamas, which is like literally talking about like global warfare. And they're like, oh yeah, we really got inside the White House to see how to make it. I'm like, do you guys not see what's going on? And you have the new Bill Gates show. And it was so funny, his daughter's getting bullied. I'm like, oh, fuck you, bitch. Like, I give a fuck if you're getting bullied. You're a shitty, fucking, insane fucking dad. Your dad would be fucking literally Stalin however long ago. Your dad is a fucking horrible human being, and you're related to, and I'm sure you're fucking horrible too. Oh,
I just
no,
love how you hold
bullied.
back, Emily. You just hold back.
Oh, fuck her. Like, I give a fuck about rich kids getting bullied. Your dad is a fucking maniac fucking monster.
You know, I just want to say to the point on bullying, it's kind of a sidetrack and I'll bring us back, I promise. But I do think that America would be a much better place if we had healthy doses of bullying with kids, because so many kids these days have never been bullied, right? It's so obvious. They got participation trophies. Their parents never told them no. And that's why there are so many freaks in society today, because no one just made them feel like, listen, I also think I got, not like, I wouldn't say bullied, but I was just a kid. People say mean things to you sometimes. I once got a haircut that was horrible and embarrassing, and the braces and whatever, and it was bad. And it made me who I am, and it's character building. And that's why I'm not some furry Zeezer freak in some polycule with a pixie haircut, because I had a healthy dose of bullying growing up.
I'm confused though. I'm still getting bullied every day. I'm like, who's free from bullying? Like,
but now it's like a love language. Like, if you're not bullying me, you don't like me. It's like, whatever. It's a different thing.
I'm like, I'm getting bullied on the internet all day by like probably 19-year-olds. What the fuck is going on?
Well, the thing is with bullying is that that's even a psyop within itself. Because first of all, our society really started to crumble when we started handing out participation trophies, because why are you being rewarded for being a literal loser? But where it really started is if we flash back, if you squint and think back to 2007, 2008, where Obama was brilliant in his campaigning was he wasn't too direct about, oh, vote for me to not be racist. His whole campaign, if you think back, was the anti-bullying movement. Because at the time, especially when the internet was starting to really, really become popular, what was the number one thing on everybody's, like, that everybody could get behind? Nobody liked to bully back then. Now we look back and we're like, we kind of appreciated those bullies. But back then, nobody liked to bully. So what they did is Obama ran this whole anti-bullying campaign. So everybody became a part of him. But then bullying became this umbrella. Bullying became, don't be racist, don't be xenophobic, don't be homophobic, don't be intolerant, don't be all these different things. And because of that bullying umbrella, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, where all these different things that should not be considered hate speech are now considered hate speech because of the anti-bullying movement that Obama started. It started with just talking about don't put a kid in a locker, but now it's, oh, this kid thinks that they can take a shit in a litter box in the back of the classroom. Don't say anything or you're a bigot.
That's such a good point. That's such a good point. And it's like, it's the intentional pussification of society, right? That's what Obama did. It started with Obama. They made men boys. They not even men boys. They made they turned guys in this country into androgynous freaks. I always say this a lot on our episodes, but they turned guys into just androgynous freaks with fat nipples, where there's something weird going on in this country, where you look at them and I'm like, are you an unattractive girl? Are you a weird guy? You never know what's going on anymore these days. But it's intentional, right? Because if you have weak men, you don't really have men in society, and you don't have leaders for women. And so it's easy for the government to take control. I actually think that's also why the left loves welfare so much, and they want you to stay in that welfare spin circle of hell, because the government becomes your daddy, right? And then when you don't have a father to be in the home, then, you know, if your mind isn't strong and then your body isn't strong, and we know it's body than mind, then the government can control you. So yes, it is Barack Obama, our first gay president, started what is the pacification of American society.
Took the words out of my mouth.
And especially with the welfare part, because you know what they all know is that these strong, independent women who don't need no man are raising weak, dependent boys who don't want to be men. And that is what has led to the demise of our society, because we have no leadership. Nobody has balls. Like, no one has the courage to even say what they actually believe in, because it could never be me. Could never be me. Because I wish somebody would come up to me and tell me, oh, you're not allowed to have these opinions or think these things. If you don't kiss the blackest part of my ass, that is not going to happen. But so many people, grown men with mortgages to pay, are afraid to say their opinion because they don't want to be canceled on the internet. It's like, how beta can you be?
How crazy that is. Like, how many thousands of people have came up to us, like literally even when we're out, and it's like, oh my God, I love you guys. I wish I could say what you say. And these are like literally grown men with like jobs and families. And you're like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? I was like 90 pounds and I went on Instagram and said how I felt and wore a MAGA hat. Like, how are you like this much of a pussy?
Like, I have empathy that you don't want to lose your job, but some of you aren't making enough money at your job to be that much of just like a little beta pussy. Like, let's be serious. Like,
not the head of Apple.
Right. Like, if you are not in a position where you absolutely cannot go find another job, go find a job that's going to allow you to speak your mind, because I promise they're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, also, like, my thing is like, what do you like? Okay, everything that you're gonna lose, you should honestly want to lose. That means it's a shitty job where you're silenced. You're around shitty people who don't share your beliefs. Your friends probably aren't your friends. And maybe some of your family members suck and you don't need to agree with them anyways or hang out with them anymore. So it's just like, I'm so confused. Everyone's so scared of everything, but it's true, because that's what the media has done. Like, the thing is, the reason they were able to take the last election is because of one reason. It was because of fear. They made everyone so scared of being a Trump supporter, because they made examples of so many people that they were like, look what happens if you come out and support Trump. You're going to do everything. So no one came out. If everyone would have just said who they were voting for, that would have never happened. Biden did not get 81 million votes in a basement. It did not happen. And it's not going to happen again with Kamala. The only reason she's polling so high is because the bias from the media, but we don't trust the media. So what does it matter anyways? But I'm like, what are you guys so scared of?
We need to start putting a great amount of shame on some of these people, because, Arynne, I loved your video because you were the one who actually made me aware of this, that 158 Democrats voted against a bill that was going to kick out immigrants who committed sex crimes in America and keep sexual criminals from other countries from coming to America. There is no net negative to that. There was literally not a single problem with that bill. And then Democrats tried to argue that they all vote, almost all of them, the grand majority of them tried to say, oh, well, we didn't want to have this bill because then it demonizes immigrants. No, it demonizes demons. It demonizes the people who are committing some of the most heinous crimes here in America. And like, in the name of Lake and Riley too, like, these murderers, these rapists, these drug dealers, these cartel members need to be kicked out of our country. I cannot verbally express enough how pro mass deportation I am at this point. But even beyond that, if you just focus on the SAVE Act and the fact that it was kicking out these sexual criminals, but 158 Democrats are okay with keeping them here. No, you should feel shame. I shouldn't feel ashamed to be a Trump supporter. I should not feel ashamed to be a Republican when you have Democrats who want rapists to literally stay in our country. That is insane. And it's now on paper, so it's something that is objective. You can't argue with that. There's no justification to tiptoe around that. And we need to make that crystal clear to these Democrats.
And what I don't understand, that is not even a political issue. That is literally just about protecting Americans. And by the way, what they said in the beginning, we don't want to, put all immigrants like that. So basically, you're actually the one saying that you believe that all immigrants are that, which is why you want to do anything from taking away from that. And this whole thing of immigrants are not committing crime. What was it? New York reported the crime and it's up 72% and it's all immigrant related. I'm like, dude, Trump was right when he was like, countries are not sending their best. They're sending crazy people. And then it's funny, crime around the world is literally going down because they're all here doing the crime. But I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you if you were a Democrat and you did not vote to deport these people? Literally, whatever fucking happens to you and your family, the fucking blood's on your hands. I don't fucking care anymore. I'm like, that's why I laughed at the girls getting punched in the face. I'm like, you voted for this and you're going to vote to get sucker punched again. I don't give a shit. Sorry if that's a mean girl energy. It's the same with these people. Fuck them. We had to live in fear and shame for the past 4 years. There's innocent women and children on the line. Sincerely, fuck these people. These people are anti-American. And yeah, I want all of them deported back to where you came from. Don't care.
There's no logic talking to the left, though. Like, I feel like it's like, that line Mugatu and Zealander when he's like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. How is it that you talk to any leftist, they'll talk about how their city is completely falling apart, all these policies directly a result of the leftists that they're voting into office, and then they're going to go and vote for Kamala Harris. It makes absolutely no sense to me. But what the left has done that's so effective is they've infiltrated people's minds to such a deep level that people are at the point they will go and vote, and the left has made them feel so afraid to vote for Donald Trump, and they feel ashamed that even in the privacy of your own voting booth, people for some reason can't vote for Trump. And that's something that I just don't even know how we overcome that as a movement, because the left is so, they're just so manipulative, and that's just not the way we are. And they are so effective at that. How is it that they've instilled that shame in the privacy of your own voting booth that people still won't vote for Trump, knowing everything they know about what's happening today?
Also, can we tell everyone, vote in person? Holy shit. Please, for the love of God, go and vote in person this time. And also, I saw a video of a liberal woman standing outside being like, it's an hour to drop your ballot off. I'm just going to take it. Do not ever give anyone your fucking ballot, especially a white woman. Are you insane? I'd rather give it to the illegal immigrant than the fucking liberal white woman. So I'm like, no, you don't give anyone your ballots. You don't put it in some random shit. You go in person. It's your duty as a fucking American and your privilege as an American. Also, I'm seeing videos on TikToks now of course, women being like, it's so crazy. You talk to these women though, and it's so interesting. Me and Xavier talked to a liberal white woman, and we did some videos with her, and it's so funny. She's all about protecting women and children. She's all about protecting these people. But then when you're like, so what about protecting them when they're getting raped and murdered? And then they just their minds just they just go blank. They just don't have a response. I mean, all I hear is like, my body, my choice, protect women, do all these things. And then you bring up crime, you bring up rape, you bring up sexual assault, you bring up the immigration. Their minds go fucking blank. It's just I really don't understand the liberal mindset, and I was a liberal. So that's how far it's gone, where I don't understand anymore. That bill was should have been non-political. It shouldn't have even been a fucking issue. So I don't know what's happening anymore. I just need the TikToks of they're taking our rights away. When is it what rights? When is this going to stop?
But it's
like people forgot that we already had Trump.
What? He was already our president. They act like he's never been. By the way, Kamala is not our president right now. She had years to do shit. She didn't. Trump was already our president. He wasn't no gays are getting married, ban all women. It's not fucking Handmaid's Tale. They're like, oh, it's going to be Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, the guy who fucks models and had bikini contests is now going to go fucking Handmaid's Tale. Are you guys that retarded? It's shocking.
I find it so funny when people on the right are like, I wish that we had the Trump that the left says that we have.
Yeah.
I had Trump too. Oh, do you want to mention about the girl getting banned for being the fitness influencer?
We could talk about that if you want to talk about it.
I did a quick video on it. But anyways, there's this girl, her name's Liv Schmidt. I had to look her up, but it's hard because her thing's banned. Anyways, this girl is she's very thin. I think she looks amazing. I think she looks gorgeous. She looks like a Victoria's Secret model. Very pretty. And I'm sure she does a lot of things like calorie deficit and all those things, which is how you lose weight. You also lose weight by eating less, eating healthier, and working out fucking more. So of course, I'm sure people mass report her because they fucking hate her because she's pretty skinny and, white and blonde. But yeah, so her account gets taken down. And I'm like, so her account's taken down, which sucks because I'm sure she made a living doing that and, all these different things. But then I'm like, so I see people eating themselves to death. I see mukbangs. I see obese influencers, fat influencers. So all of these are perfectly fine. But we now are at the point where we cannot have physically thin, good looking influencers.
Well, because there's a whole fat liberation movement now, because it goes into everything we were saying about participation trophies. There needs to be a little bit more bullying of kids these days, because now they're not overweight. It's not just that you're beautiful when you're overweight, it's that you're fit and you're healthy, which is where everything today is just upside down. Like science, fact doesn't matter. The reality is that you could be fat and healthy at the same time, which we know is objectively not true. I've seen scientists come out, doctors who are saying that, it's genetic. It's not genetic. People were not this overweight just when our parents were growing up. And you know what I have to say? And I could say this because I'm Jewish. There were no fat people in Auschwitz. Okay. If you wanted to lose the weight, you actually could, right? Like there's actually
do the work. do the work.
You could do the work. And I have sympathy for people who are raised in places where they're not given proper nutrition. They're on processed foods. They're in food deserts. Of course, that totally exists. And that's really hard. And then you get to a point where maybe losing the weight is really, really difficult and you need extreme measures besides just exercising and not eating. I have friends who they just don't eat as much. They're eating healthy. They're doing stuff and they're not shedding the weight in the same way. But that's not genetic. That's because the food is poison in society. And that would be the reason why. So yeah, I said what I said.
The genetics thing is huge, by the way. My friend is a health influencer, and she was saying how all these things that we say are genetic it's fucking bullshit. It's not genetic. That's an excuse doctors use to be able to put you on medication and be like, oh, it's not your fault. You can't get out of it, but we can put you on pills. So just FYI, genetics, 90% of the time is bullshit.
But that's not how evolution works. Evolution takes so much time. How is it that we went from everyone being fit and healthy 20 years ago to genetics making you overweight and unhealthy? It makes no sense. And the fact that these doctors, people are publishing studies and speaking from a place of authority to tell you it's not your fault they want, listen, unhealthy body, unhealthy minds, weak country. It's very easy, very obvious.
There's so much to unpack there. Because first of all, when people try to say that things are genetic, like you said, it's not. But some of it is cultural because of the things that you eat, which is, again, a problem within itself. Because, like, for example, pretty much every single person in my family has high blood pressure. When I was younger, I remember being in high school. I was an athlete. I for the most part ate healthy, but whenever I was eating those home cooked meals, I had slightly high blood pressure. Then fast forward some years later, I'm now older, I'm living on my own. I eat clean and healthy now because I don't eat the things that I grew up eating. And wow, my blood pressure is perfect. I have no blood pressure issues. Why is that? Because I fixed my diet. And it's really, and honestly, I do feel bad for people who are even eating these things, because some of the things that we have been eating in the last 5 years, they're completely different recipes than what we had 10, 20 years ago for the exact same products. Like if you look at an Oreo now, an Oreo, how it used to have vanilla cream inside of it. Now it's like some manufactured chemical stuff that they just put together in a lab. Because I started thinking I was tripping over the years, because I'm like, why are my taste buds changing? Why does nothing taste as good as it used to? The reason is because everything is artificial now. They're making things artificial. And it's not because it's cheaper to make artificial. It's one, because they want the foods to be more addicting. And two, they literally want you, and they as in big food, big pharma, big insurance scam, shout out America First Healthcare, because most of these other insurance companies, they want you to be unhealthy. That is a multi-billion-dollar industry, if not trillion-dollar industry, when you put them all together, to keep us unhealthy so that we have to keep going to the doctor and we have to keep being dependent on more medications. We have to take more vaccines. We have to be stuck inside of this system. And then you look at people like this influencer who is thin and healthy and well, I'm assuming she's healthy, but because I know not all thin people are healthy, because people try to jump on that. But this woman who was thin and promoting just don't be a big backed whale, and she gets taken down. But then you have, like you said, the people doing mukbangs. I just did a video on, there was an influencer who ate so much food on a live stream that she died because her stomach split open.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
It should be the top of the algorithm too.
Yeah, and those are the people who have an insane amount of followers, but we're supposed to be be okay with that. See, y'all don't want me to be in office. Everybody tells me, oh, Xavier, run for president. You don't want me to run for president. Because I promise you, I would make it illegal for kids to be fat. When I see morbidly obese kids, that is child abuse.
It is.
That is not a thyroid issue. A thyroid issue, please.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
You are eating too much and you're eating the wrong things and it's destroying your body, and your parents should be held accountable for that.
It's destroying your body. It's destroying your mind.
Yeah.
And then that's what happens. You go into society. How productive are you? The one thing I've always said, it's insane to me, is Starbucks. Like, to me, Starbucks is literally burnt garbage diarrhea. I watch people drinking it and I'm like, genuinely, are you okay? And what's wrong with you? You are drinking a milkshake.
It is so bad.
You're just drinking sugar. Everything in America is fat-free, but everyone is fat. It makes absolutely no sense. But I wanted to, on this topic of health and like Maha kind of stuff, we didn't talk last week about RFK's sexting scandal. I think it came out right after we shot our episode. Can we talk about that for a second?
This is all you and Xavier. I don't know shit.
Xavier, do you want to?
Let's get into some things.
Yeah, can you give a summary to people of what exactly was exposed? Oh, sorry.
So this is a loose summary.
Choice of words.
Yeah, literally. So shout out to our girl House and Habit, because she has the most thorough breakdown on this. So long story short, and I don't have the exact timeline, but there was this reporter named Olivia Nui from New York Magazine. And essentially she was flirting with RFK and bringing in all these different people to try to get a story out of RFK. When he realized, oh girl, you are doing too much, he blocked her. Mm-hmm. Literally, how embarrassing is that to be blocked by a presidential candidate? He literally blocked her number. So then she emailed him, allegedly emailed him and said, oh, there's about to be this massive hit piece about you. I need to get you on the phone right now. I need to tell you what's happening so that we can mitigate this, and stop it before it happens. So then he trusts her, he unblocks her, and she takes that as a window of opportunity to start sexting him again and allegedly sending him sexually explicit pictures. And this whole thing of blocking, unblocking went on for so long, and her, with her loose lips, went and told someone that she was basically trying to send RFK pictures of her hard-ass titties. And now it got exposed that she was doing this. So now her integrity as a journalist will never be respectable again. Because why are you out here trying to lure this married man? Where was your fiance at, Olivia? I want to know where your fiance was when you were sending RFK these pictures and these text messages with no regard for Cheryl Hines, because the biggest victim in this is RFK's wife, because how humiliating for her. But then back to the main plot, it's like you do all this trying to get a story, you get yourself blocked, you had the nerve to tell people about it, and everybody in New York Magazine should be ashamed, because I guarantee she wasn't the only person there with these tactics.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, it's just zero integrity.
The headlines have been so misleading too, because they're trying to make it seem like RFK was, going to look at the photos and then blocking her. I mean, we'll never really know intention. I do wonder when it happens the first couple of times, it's confusing. And then when you how many times was he unblocking and reblocking her? But it does not seem like he was really like soliciting this. It doesn't seem like he was very active. And she was really targeting him and trying to get him in a compromising position. I do, and also with all of this, with this whole controversy, I think it might be the first sex scandal I've ever heard about where there was no sex, because it's just
that's how boring it's getting, to the point where we can't even have sex scandals with sex anymore. Like, whatever happened to the blowjobs in the White House? At least that shit was exciting.
Monica Lewinsky, you will always be famous.
Always.
That's a good mother who told her not to dry clean the dress. It's a smart woman, but that's a different. That's something entirely else. Okay, well, I guess that was the topic. I didn't get to talk to anyone about this, and I just kept asking myself, seeing all these headlines, I'm like, wait. It's supposed to be a takedown of Trump in the end, because it's meant to discredit RFK, who's heavily endorsing Trump, which, I mean, talk about unity party, right? It's amazing, all these people who are coming to back Trump. Elon has people knocking on the ground in Michigan. Like, it's really amazing stuff. So that's clearly what this is. And I just kept asking myself, I don't understand this. It's a sex scandal with no sex. Okay, she sent some dirty pictures. Let's say he never blocked her and just looked at them. Okay, fine, whatever. Like, why is that an indictment on RFK as opposed to this journalist?
And honestly, At this point, you don't even have to get a dirty text message anymore to see these pictures. Just go on Twitter. Just go on Instagram. You're going to see the same photos. You're probably going to see. I cannot go on Twitter and scroll through a thread anymore without someone being like, oh, subscribe to my OnlyFans. And it's literally a video of them doing some grotesque, nasty, whatever. It's like, it's everywhere. So people are so desensitized to it. So it's like, really, when it comes to RFK, I hope he stood strong and he didn't entertain it too much, because I really can't stand people who cheat. But at the same time, we have bigger issues. We have way bigger issues. And mind you, we don't have a border.
Yeah.
I keep just casually reminding people that we don't have a border. Ask me if I care about who RFK is flirting with.
Yeah.
My direct dagger is on Olivia, because I can't stand her for the fact that you would even put him in this situation
100%.
knowing how much we have at stake. Our entire nation is at stake, and you're trying to ruin his marriage and ruin his reputation when there is so much on the line. Girl, get out of the way.
Yeah.
It says a lot about them, but it is funny. It's RFK. It's all these people. It's like so interesting. As soon as you're involved with Donald Trump or right-wing politics, all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's like hit piece after hit piece. Oh, he did coke in college. Oh, he killed a whale. All these things. It's like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care if he's having gangbangs. I want a closed border.
Most of the politicians are, if you really want to get into that tea.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's,
by the way, everyone just blew past the Doug Emhoff nanny story from a couple weeks ago, right? So
I already forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly, because it was never covered, right? They just put it under the rug, and I would say they aborted it, like the baby he forced to get aborted from the babysitter that he knocked up, right?
What is this story?
Ooh.
No, they love to do that. As soon as you say something positive about Trump, they try to come up with all this stuff about you. That's like when Amber Rose started supporting Trump. And then, mind you, she was on this I forgot, it's like College Hill or something like that. She was on that show years ago. And when the show aired, there was a fight that she had with this ghetto woman named Jocelyn. And they intentionally, they cut off the show right before they were getting ready to fight. So you never actually saw the fist fight. And for years, people were asking for it. So not even for the year that that season was popping, people were asking to see the fight. They were never going to show the clip. They agreed that they were never going to show the clip. Then as soon as Amber Rose starts getting all this good press for Trump, TMZ and the Shade Room and all these different outlets suddenly have access to this footage that is 3 years old, and you're showing Amber Rose getting into a fist fight, thinking that that's going to make her less credible. If anything, it made people like her more because she whooped that girl's ass. I open up my Twitter and I just see Amber Rose whacking this girl, and nobody cared, but they were trying to smear her with something that's so old, so irrelevant, and just so unnecessary. So what if she got into a fight? Again, we don't have a border. We have almost half the amount of illegal immigrants. If you cut the black population in half, think about all the black people in this country. If you cut the population in half, do you realize that's almost as many illegal immigrants as we have in this country? We have 46 million black people. We have 21 million illegal immigrants. That is insane.
And every single day, I have to hear about them assaulting, raping, and killing young girls or women. Mm-hmm. And then the stories I see in the UK that make the headlines all the way here, holy shit. Holy shit. These are not even normal crimes. What was the one I saw? Hate to calls it like I see is it, but a Muslim immigrant who breaks into a woman's home, rapes and kills her, and then decapitates her, pours bleach in her eyes and shit. I'm like, these aren't even normal crimes. These are fucking crazy crimes.
Deranged crimes.
Deranged on a level where you're these people have to just I don't know, they grow up just hitting themselves in the heads with rocks because I don't even know how you turn out that fucked up. And it's so funny because they're always oh yeah, guns are the biggest issue, and I'm like, well, guess what? I'm sure a lot of these people wish they had fucking guns and would blow these people's brains out because this is these are insane. I have to see these stories every day, but it's weird because anytime you're talking to any woman, any leftist woman we engage with, as soon as it's my body, my choice, blah, 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 all that matters is killing babies. And then as soon as you bring up any of these things, they have genuinely nothing to say. Oh, I'm not going to endorse a criminal. I'm not going to endorse a rapist. oh, the bitch who lives in the woods who's a feminist and hates Trump. Yeah, I'm sure Trump, after banging his like hot wife, was really dying to have sex with her. I mean, there's no way these people are that delusional, but then they are, because I look at my comment section every day and I go, oh, it's so much worse than I think. It's so much worse.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about what Arynne said at the beginning of the podcast, how you don't think that the average American is that dumb to believe this stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking I would love to see a comparison of IQs between the left and the right.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to, because how like blind do you have to be? Because even just like Joe Biden's decline, because I've been predicting this, I almost to a T predicted down to the week that Trump's assassination attempt and Joe Biden dropping out of the race. I knew just like almost a year ago how all of this was going to play out. But the fact that I knew the media was getting ready to turn on Joe Biden, because it was like overnight for this entire last 4 years, basically, they've been denying the fact that Joe Biden is incompetent. And then there was one specific day some months ago where everybody started suddenly being like, I think we should start asking questions about Joe. And I was like, well, that's it. They're like softly starting to tiptoe around it. And then boom, it was like, as soon as they got the go ahead from Kamala's team, they just nuked him. And I would love to know Joe's perspective of all of this, because people really brushed over the fact that like 4 days before Kamala Harris announced that she was running, Joe Biden put out a statement saying that he was not dropping out of the race.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was something that really got downplayed.
Since then, wow.
Feels like a lifetime ago, because we still forget that a lot of people already forget the details about Trump's first assassination attempt, and the fact that Meta was suppressing the story and that Google was acting like it didn't happen, and that all these left-wing headlines were saying, oh, there was a loud noise, oh, he fell. And there are still people who are to this day trying to say that he didn't actually get shot. How dare you? How dare you?
I see people in my comment section are like, he never got shot. And I'm just like, you know what's so funny though? If that happened to your candidate, you guys would be, once again, burning the country to the ground.
The country would be on fire. On fire.
I'd be irate. If someone tried to do that to Kamala Harris, I would be irate. I would be genuinely irate. I would be doing news hits, going off on whoever that person was, and saying whoever this side of the right is, we want nothing to do with them. If it was somebody that was on the right, I would be condemning them. But the left, you don't see that same energy from them. They might be like, oh yeah, we shouldn't do this. They're so soft and tiptoeing and flowery about it. They're pussyfooting around it. It's like, no, like be direct and call out your own side, because your side has become so radical. I'm not saying the right is perfect. There's a lot of things that the right says and does. I'm just like, y'all are ignorant, because we all know there's the main people who hate me are like the far alt-right people, because they're unhinged. And we look at them, we're like, you're a small percentage of the right, and we don't really associate with y'all, but at least you vote the right way. The left won't even do that. The left won't even talk about, to this day, they won't even talk about the people who burnt down all the communities in 2020.
Yeah, and I think it's good to acknowledge the fact that, like, we are on the right and we're glad people vote that way, but we don't fucking like them. And we acknowledge the fact that a lot of them are psychopaths and they're not good people. So, and it's annoying because when those people get pushed to the top of a lot of algorithms, it's really annoying for us, because it's like, it's literally like, we see so many people on the right, we were talking about last night at dinner, that are like the epitome of why leftists hates us. And it's so frustrating, because it's people like me that I think are pretty middle ground on a lot of things. That's why a lot of liberals do like me and like say, are like, oh, you know, I agree with you sometimes. And then you have like psychopaths, like, you know, the right corner, that's like, you know, you're a self-hating gay in the closet sociopath who all you do is shit on women all day and you're a fucking hypocrite. And it's like, dude, I can't even imagine being on the left and seeing your content, because as someone who's like far right, I think you're like the biggest dipshit to ever fucking exist. So I would like to say, and we would totally go on the news and be like, this is insane. This is not happening in our country. Meanwhile, the left, when assassination attempts happen, they're either silent or they're actually cheering it on. And they're like, good. And you see interviews where they're like, I wish he didn't miss. And it's like a white woman walking down the street and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And of course, it's like they're hypocrites.
I even have people in my family who were like that. Like, because my whole backstory is how I grew up as a leftist. I was not far left like my family, but like there are people in my family who are so far left that they were posting saying that they wish the shooter was black because they wouldn't have missed. And I'm like, how disgusting are you? Like I had to call out, I cursed out my own family members over that. I'm like, there is no situation where you're supposed to be okay with this, but this is how tribalistic people have become. And then these people who are coming from other countries who literally live in societies that are completely animalistic, they come here and they're like, okay, not only should we try to attack the candidate, but they'd probably try to eat them too.
Literally. Literally. And then they're like condoning that behavior, saying it's not happening. It's crazy because even Peter Ducey was like, to fucking Jean-Pierre was like, are you gonna like denounce this? Because you guys are so obsessed with denouncing violence, right? Like the right has to constantly denounce everything. And she was just like, we're not being violent. He was like, so right the day after the assassination, you're like back to calling him Hitler and a threat to democracy, but you're saying that you guys have nothing to do with this. Like, unfucking real.
Yeah.
It's profound.
It's insane. I mean, then again, they're all fucking insane.
No, but we're dealing with like it's an actual mental illness. I'm sorry, but at this point, if you're a voting leftist, then you need actual psychological help. There's something more that you need than I don't know. You need to find God and touch grass. So.
No, and that's the thing. It's like I'm at the point where it's like I think for 4 years, everyone I know who's a Republican has been so nice to people on the left and been like, no, like it's cool, like difference of opinion. And I'm like at the point where I'm like, no, fuck them. Like they've ruined the country. They want to ruin your life. Like, why are you still being nice to these people? When I see people wearing Kamala shit, I call them out. I shame them. I go, oh my God, you're so dumb. How embarrassing.
Maybe we should be doing that. We need to bring back bullying. We're going to come full circle, end of the episode. Bring back bullying. Because you know what the left is talking about? Did you guys see that Hillary Clinton was talking basically about sending conservatives to re-education camps? Is essentially what she was saying.
Oh, yeah. Let's get into that really quick. Really quick. Let's get into that because I was flabbergasted because you got, within the same week, Hillary Clinton was up there talking about how we should start putting people who spread propaganda in jail. She was saying that we need a better deterrent and maybe even jailing people for spreading the truth. Because don't forget, things like Hunter Biden's laptop for so long we were told was misinformation. There's a long list of things about COVID that you could talk about that were deemed misinformation, and now suddenly they're being like, oh yeah, you guys were true it was the truth the whole time. So she wants to put people in jail for saying things that the government has not decided that we're allowed to talk about yet or at all. And then you got Kamala Harris who's saying that there shouldn't be separate rules for Twitter and Twitter shouldn't be allowed to have these different discussions. You're literally the presidential candidate, the current sitting vice president, and you're saying that the American people should not be allowed to converse amongst ourselves and have ideas that you have deemed are inappropriate. That is North Korea. Like, you are on the verge of North Korea.
That actually is a threat to democracy.
Yeah, and also a threat to democracy, the fact that you didn't get a single vote and you're the primary candidate.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. It's like I'm not going to say I am clairvoyant on this stuff, but you remember a few years ago when they canceled Dr. Seuss for being racist? Do you guys remember this? And they said like it was one of the books where what was the controversy that people were upset about? Like country stereotypes in one of the books. I don't know what it was, but they decided and like the people who owned the rights to Dr. Seuss pulled it. I wound up having a nightmare that night when all the news was happening. And I was at King's Cross in London for some reason with a family member in my dream. And there was a re-education poster, and I forget, but in my dream it actually rhymed. And it was basically saying like, you have to think the right thoughts and like, welcome to your re-education, like immersion basically. And I rolled my eyes at the sign, and the police, the like Gestapo, like the thought Gestapo of my dream saw me roll my eyes, and they're like, get her. And I like threw my family member in my dream. It's like, by the way, did not appreciate that I defended them in my dream and like sacrificed my life for them in my dream. But I pushed them aside and start running. And I'm like, run, go. And they start running after me. And I woke up in a panic. And this is a real nightmare I actually had, but I thought like they will be like sending us to re-education camps.
Yeah, we're on the way.
It's not far off. It's really not far off. They're talking about sending people to jail for disinformation. And who decides what that is? Who decides what's the truth anymore when we're dealing with people?
Disinformation has turned out to be true. There's a list on Twitter, like the past 400 things that have been misinformation and conspiracies that are all fucking true. So like basically what they're saying is anything you say if you are a Republican, you're going to go to jail. And anything you say that's correct and we don't want you to know, like Epstein's fucking client list, because it's all Democrats on there, you're also going to go to jail. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like these people, like it just shows when people are like iffy about Trump. I'm like, you guys, they know that they're losing, or else they would not go to these great lengths to try to censor and scare everyone. The same way when you win a debate, you're not like begging for another one. That's why I'm like, Kamala didn't win that debate. She's like every day. I'm like, okay, bitch, go do it on Fox News then, since you're so fucking confident. We all know that you were fucking prepped for this. And like, I don't trust that the earpiece was what you said it was. Okay. So it's just like one of those things where I'm like, it's because they're losing. They're so worried. Like literally too big to rig is literally real. That's why we're focusing now on ballots and all that shit, because I'm like, we've already won. They're losing. That's why they're fucking scared.
I'm not as hopeful as you though, because I think I agree with you. There are things they're doing right now because they don't think they're going to win. But I think there's a difference between winning and actually having control. Right. And so we might win, but it doesn't mean we get the presidency. Right. And I just think that the left, same thing with Xavier, with what you were saying about your family members talking about Trump, the assassination attempts on Trump. They truly believe the ends justify the means, and they will do almost anything. They will do basically anything to win and to take over. And so, you know, I think we're up against a huge machine that even if we are somehow the silent majority, we're not winning when it comes to, you know, censorship in tech. Like, thank God Elon, at least for Twitter, we know what's going on right now, but that's one platform, right? And we're slowly chipping away, like Robbie Starbuck with all the DEI stuff at companies, he's chipping away at that. We're slowly, you know, peeling the shell off, but I don't feel like we're winning in this country, right? And I think that it's very easy to have a loser mentality, and the left has encouraged this, and it's down to the food where it's just, you know, I think that's why Tim Walz is actually this very attractive candidate to get people, because he's a total low T soy beta loser. And that validates being a total fucking loser to all these people in this country, right? Because JD Vance shows you could grow up hillbilly elegy and pull yourself up from your bootstraps, join the military, go to Yale Law School, get a great wife, and become the VP candidate. Why didn't you do it? Right? And be successful in venture capital, and you didn't do it, right? And you're just a loser sitting at home in your mother's basement, right? And Walz is showing you, oh, look at me taking an air filter out of the car, right? Like pretending to be doing real man's work with the hood up, but actually I'm just doing the simplest thing. And we on the right, we laugh at that and say, well, that just looks so ridiculous because the guy is not even really doing anything real with his car right now. But all these loser guys in our country look at that and think, huh, like that's me. Like I relate to that because I'm a fucking loser. So I think we have a real loser mentality in this country, and it's a tough thing to fight.
Yeah. And by the way, Tim Walz gives me extremely John Wayne Gacy vibes. So no one's made that connection.
Whoa! Wait, I see it.
Literally should be a clown molesting children because.
Oh my God.
I hate that I see it. I hate that I see it.
He looks like
I wish you didn't tell me that. I'm not going to be able to unsee that.
Emily ruined that for so many people. We are sorry. We're sorry.
I'm just saying, he needs to go to the museum and get that original clown costume and really take this country back.
Clown costume for a clown world. Xavier, thank you so much for joining us. We had a lot of fun with you. I hope you'll come back.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It was an honor to be the first guest. And
where can people find you?
I am on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, all at Xavier, irregular spelling. That's Xaviaer. And my Twitter, that's the one handle I can't get. That is at Xavier D.
He's Xavier, not Javier.
Not Javier. I'm sorry. I love Piers Morgan, but he always calls me Javier. I just don't even correct him. It just makes me more internationally appealing.
I love Piers Morgan too, but I'm like, does he look like Javier? I'm so confused.
Right. And it's funny because I correct the producers every time and they still say Javier, and I'm just like,
you're just so good.
Well, here it is. Well, time to code switch. Just do like a super thick Hispanic accent. You'll be good.
I'm just like, oh,
and obviously you guys know where to find us. So
Emily Saves America and Non-Lib Take. Although I will say, Xavier, when you say the regular spelling of your name, I'm like, well, that is not regular. There are so many vowels in there. But I can relate because I too have a Black girl name. So I get it. The Y in my name. I get that a lot. Actually, that's the first thing I ever said to you. Xavier and I met at a PragerU event like 6 months ago. And the first thing out of my mouth was, hi, I'm Arynne, but it's with a Y. It's a Black girl name.
It's very ethnic.
Because it has that crazy spelling. I mean, it's funny. Everyone asked me how to spell your name. And I'm just like, I'm not going to lie. It took me you saying it out loud. And then I was like, all right, I'm good. Like if you went to Starbucks, there's no fucking way they're getting that name right.
No, I have a restaurant name. I have like my coffee order name that I go by.
I would just give them a different name.
Yeah. No, I don't. I can't do it. There's something's wrong when they spell it ERIN. I'm like, that's fake. That's not me.
Also, last thing, shout out to Courtney Swan and Max Lugavere for going and fucking going in front of what, like Senate to be like, hey, you're fucking poisoning us. And
yeah, they crushed that.
And we're not going to fucking do this anymore. Shout out to them. They are doing God's work in this country. And I'm so proud of them. I mean, if you don't follow them already, Max Lugavere, Courtney Swan, they're amazing. They're fighting the same fight, just in a little bit different of a way.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
See you next week.